Americans continue to be pessimistic about the direction the U.S. economy is taking. That's the finding of the latest Bloomberg National Poll. And that does not bode well for President Obama ahead of the 2012 elections. Let's get some insight now from our Washington executive editor, Al Hunt. And Al, perhaps the pessimism isn't surprising, but the blame that the president is getting, not a good sign here for his prospects.
It's not, Margaret, but there is pervasive pessimism. As you say, two-thirds of the public thinks the country's off on the wrong track. Only one quarter think the economy's getting better. A plurality think they're worse off than they were 2.5 years ago at the height of the Great Recession, and they don't think their kids are going to have a better life than they've had. So that's really, really pessimistic. Obama, there's real warning signs for him here. 60% of the public in this Bloomberg poll say if he doesn't do better, if things don't get better, by a year from now, it's going to be very hard to vote for him. Silver lining for Barack Obama, they're just as negative about Republicans. Over 60% say if Republicans keep going at the rate they're going, it'll be hard to vote for them, too.
Right. Well, that is the key element in the Bloomberg write-up. That it may not be the headline, but it certainly reflects that overall pessimism, you say.
It does.
But the biggest issue is really about jobs, right? That's the biggest worry.
It's interesting. All of our discussion in Washington, or 90% of it, is about debt reduction and deficit. The public, by better than a 3-to-1 margin, says that the thing they really care about are jobs and the economy. And the one good news for Republicans, however, is that there is some translation out there that if spending cuts and tax cuts produces jobs, they're for it. They're a little bit skittish about whether that's the case, but that's one thing. They're looking for anything that works as far as jobs are concerned.
But the one thing they don't want when it comes to the deficit issue is higher taxes. What is it, 61% to 36% say not ready to pay more?
Margaret, the late Senator Russell Long used to have a great saying about tax reform. He said, it's don't tax you, don't tax me, tax that fellow over there underneath the tree. And they want taxes for somebody else, the rich, business, or whatever have you. But a strong majority of Americans say, no, I don't want to pay more taxes.
Yesterday on the show, you said that foreign policy was going to increasingly become a worry for President Obama. You were talking about Libya at the time, but tonight we're hearing from the president about his Afghanistan strategy. What does U.S. involvement in Afghanistan look like through 2012?
Well, it's even bigger than Libya, certainly, Margaret. The president tonight is expected to announce an accelerated drawdown so that probably all of those 33,000 troops in the Afghan surge of last year will be gone by the end of next year. Now, there'll still be 70,000, 60,000 American troops there, so it won't be the end of engagement, but it clearly is a de-escalation. When you trace this back to that 2009 speech, several things have happened, and support for the war has gone totally south. First of all, we got bin Laden. A lot of people think that was the objective here. Secondly, the war cost $120 billion at a time. We're talking about real fiscal frugality here at home. That's really tough politically. And finally, people are tired. It's 10 years. This is Obama's war, and people are tired of it.
I'm guessing he's not going to talk about engaging with the Taliban, though.
He may obliquely refer to that because that's a central part of the drawdown eventually, that we can come up with some kind of accord, uneasy accord of sorts, but that's very complicated, as you know.
Yeah. Well, what's in your notebook, Al? What are you watching for?
Margaret, yesterday in discussing Texas Governor Rick Perry, I omitted a very salient factoid. He was, at Texas A&M, a cheerleader. As a matter of fact, he was the chief yell leader at Texas A&M. Now, Margaret, I don't know if you were a cheerleader at UVA.
Definitely
but what I do know is that if you had been, you would have been a very good one. But what I do know is that's the stuff of presidents. W was a cheerleader.
He certainly was. I was not cool enough to be a cheerleader. I was in the debate society.
You were certainly cool enough. You were just too much in the library.
Too big of a dork. Al Hunt, thank you very much.